Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Black History Month episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel. On today's episode, we have three fantastic guests. I'll be joined by Chineze Nwokedi, who is a lawyer and digital content creator, the one and only Larinda Mood, who is a wonderful Black drag performer here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And then we're ending it off with a special business treat with Jummy's Treats, owned by Jummy Lasisi, and I can't wait for you guys to see it all. Sit back, relax, and we'll get into it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Chineze Nwokedi, who is a lawyer and digital content creator. Chineze, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm really excited to have you here because it's Black History Month, and I'm trying to showcase the different ways Black people show up in our community. And you happen to be a lawyer practicing now in Newfoundland and Labrador. But your journey to being a lawyer here was a little bit different than some might expect. So how did you get started?
So I was called to the Nigerian bar in 2012.
Yep.
I got married to my husband in 2016 and I moved here. So I had to requalify as a lawyer in Canada for me to be able to practice here.
Okay, so was that qualification process like, what was it like for you as someone who was already a practicing lawyer in another country, but now having to restart over?
Well, it's a process because you have to kind of go through writing some exams and then doing like a work term. It's called articling. Yeah. And when you're done, you write the bar exams again. Okay. And then you get called to the bar. So it's like a journey, it's a process, but it's something that you have to do. There's no other way to be a lawyer here other than to do that.
So as a woman who happens to be a lawyer and a Black woman in a province that she isn't originally from, how are you finding that process and that experience?
I actually love it, if I'm being honest. Like, it's been good. I don't have anything to complain about. It's been very, I've been very well received in my profession. So I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change it for anything.
I'm really glad to hear that. So I would like to know more for the young women who might be watching, who might be thinking, someone tells me I argue enough, maybe I should be a lawyer. What would you want them to know?
You have to really love it. It's a lot of work and it doesn't get any easier. So you have to know that it's something you want to do, not just because you love to argue. You have to know it's something you really, truly, it's your calling, something you love genuinely, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of research, it's a lot of writing, it's a lot to appear in court, so it has to be something you love.
Okay. Yeah. So there are two things you're doing. So you are a practicing lawyer.
Yes.
Well, not two. There's a lot of things that you're up to. You're a practicing lawyer, you're a mom, and now you're into digital content creation.
Yeah, I just started that.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about just starting that because that's a new field for you. So how are you finding that and what led you to do that?
I feel like I have so much to say. Like, I'm someone who loves to express myself, and being a content creator gives me space to just be myself and truly explore that part of my life. It's not law, it's not being a mom, it's just kind of giving what's on my inside. So I just love it. So I just started barely, and I'm loving the experience of, just being there, sitting in front of my camera, talking to it, expressing myself, doing the vlogs. It's been good.
So for our viewers now who might be subscribers to you later, what would they get if they were tuning into your channel?
They will get authenticity, like someone who wants to be better at what they're doing, every sphere of their lives, and doing what they love now and working towards where they want to be. So it's just it's a place of improving yourself, of having fun, and just seeing my life, I think my life is interesting.
I think your life is interesting. I think you're up to a lot. So it's Black History Month and it's February. So I'm giving a chance for Black people to kind of show and share their experiences, especially as a Black woman within our culture and society. What is that like for you personally?
It's funny because up until 6 years ago, I was not a Black woman. I was just a woman, So moving here and finding out that you're a person of color, like you're quantified by the color of your skin, it's been an adjustment. Sometimes you struggle with it. Also having to raise kids here who are Black boys and having to let them know that even though everyone is the same, there's something about you that is kind of different. You have to walk a certain way. You have to do certain things because the system might not protect you the way they'll protect, someone who's a different color. It's not. It's something that is a journey, like something you have to get yourself up to the point where you tell yourself, this will not hold me back. The color of my skin will not make me feel like I'm different. It wouldn't make me feel any less. And I will raise my children to know that they are capable of being anything they want to be, achieving anything they want to achieve, regardless of the color of their skin.
So you mentioned that you are a mom of
Yes.
Black boys.
Yes.
Do you think that plays an impact in how you're raising them, opposed to how other moms might be raising other Black girls, for example, in this society?
Yes. Yes. If you say no, then you're just lying to yourself, You have to let your boys, even your girls, but most especially your boys, know that if they are in a place that they shouldn't be, if they do something that they shouldn't do, they may be judged a bit more harshly than someone else who has a different color of their skin. So they have to be more careful. They have to put themselves in a place where they know that they are, always doing the right thing, which is kind of a lot to put on children, but you gradually educate them and let them know that you're a Black boy, you have to know, you have to be careful, you have to do things right. You have to not put yourself in a place where you're questioned or in a questionable circumstance.
So for Black History Month this year, there are two themes. So there's the American theme, which is Black resistance, and the Canadian theme, which is Ours to Tell. Do any of these themes resonate for you personally?
The Canadian theme definitely resonates with me better. It's ours to tell. We have stories to tell, stories from where we're from, stories of where we're going. So yeah, the Canadian theme resonates with me better.
So as we look forward to the future, I would like to end this on a positive note. What do you see for the future of Black people within Newfoundland and Labrador and Canada as a whole?
I see a future where Black people are growing and evolving and knowing that they are capable of achieving anything they want to achieve in whatever fields. That they could be lawyers, they could be engineers, they could be teachers, they could be nurses, they could be community workers, they could be artists, whatever they want to be, and that they are not limited by the color of their skin,
I was really glad to see that you have such a bright outlook on the Black experience in the future. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit and chat with me. Being a mom, a lawyer, and a digital content creator is a lot to have on your plate, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, Laurabel.
And we'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by the one and only Larinda Mood, drag performer and entertainer. Larinda, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So I'm really excited that I get to talk to you, especially during Black History Month. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like being a drag performer, but more importantly, a Black drag performer, because that's very different than people would expect.
It is very different. Drag and queer community or queer culture within the Black community is something very faux pas and not spoken about very often. And it's something that we shy away from, especially if it's involving queer people. Being a drag performer has meant a lot to me personally and a lot to a lot of people in the community that I've met. And so for me, it's been a very roller coaster ride of ups and downs, but most importantly of education of myself and education of my community and culture, to the people within my community and culture of queerness and Blackness.
So what was it for you that was the tipping point for you where you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm ready to do this, regardless of the nays or the yays, this is something that's for me?
Well, I moved to St. John's from Ontario about 4 years ago, and about my second year into living here, I started to witness drag performers come out of the woodworks a lot because of the pandemic shutting everything down. And we really just kind of, as a community, got together and started doing show after show after show. And the tipping point was really that I saw nobody like me on stage when I was watching these performances. And it really struck a chord because I wanted to see representation for my community as much as possible in our queer community. So I was like, nobody's going to be able to do it, I'm going to get up and do it.
So what has that been like? You've now been out there for how long now?
Officially 2.5 years as a drag artist. Yeah, yeah.
So how has that been received?
It's nothing but positivity from the community here, and then from a lot of places as well, especially considering, again, I am one of the only active Black drag performers in the community. It's been lovely, but I have gotten some slack here and there, especially from people who don't really understand drag or what it is, but I persevere and push through, much like the rest of us do.
So I need to ask, how did you come up with your name? Because I know there's a story behind every drag performer's name. So what was it for you?
So technically the first person to ever put me in drag was my grandmother, and her name's Linda.
Okay.
And I needed to blackify the name a little bit. God love her. So I added an R, and I came up with Larinda. And I'm always in some type of mood, whether it be angry, happy, sleepy, whatever have you. So I was like, you know what? Larinda Mood. And she was born.
Okay. So I know you recently just put off a Black History Month event.
Yes.
I need to know, what was the idea? Where did the idea come from, and what was it that made it so important for you to do?
Well, last year I did the same event as well, so this is our second year that we did the event. But Black History Month has always been very important to me. I remember being a little kid in school and going to a Catholic school full of nothing but non-POC, and me being the person to be like, let's do Black History Month, like let's make it a thing. And so I just kind of took that from my youth and brought it into my entertainment adult industry of drag, and we've had nothing but fun. And I decided to put on a big event that focused as much as possible on POC performers and entertainers, and just got it on the go, and now we're doing it every year.
Okay, so what would someone who attending have expected to see happen at a POC specific Black History Month drag performance?
This year we had some lovely vendors come down, and local vendors who are POC as well sell their product, and we also got to have different types of artistry on stage this year rather than just drag performers. We got to have a belly dancer, we've had some burlesque performers, a stand-up comedian. So really all forms of art within the industry that you can find, but more specifically, art from POC people.
That's super cool. So I'm going to ask you a little bit of an interesting question, but more one to get you to think a little bit. So the theme for Black History Month, there are two themes this year. The Canadian theme is art, our stories, and then the American theme is Black resistance. What do either of these mean to you as a performer, as an individual, and as a Black entertainer in a space where we don't typically exist?
Black resistance settles with me very, very close to home. We've always had to be very resistant and resilient within our lives growing up as a person of color and living in a predominantly white area. Being resilient within who I am and what my culture is and what it means to me, and personifying that as much as I can is super important. And art and the understanding of art is very important as well, and being able to share that with as many people as possible is just something that sits close to home in both areas.
So as now you've been in the drag space for 2 years, what things have you seen happen and change, and what do you hope to see happen in the future?
I've noticed a lot more people coming out to take part in the industry and to take part of drag, which has been amazing. But I'm also seeing more conversation happen, which I think is the most important thing. All great change comes from a starting point, and that starting point is just talking. So I'd love to see that continue to happen. I'd love to see more people of color come out of the woodworks and celebrate drag and celebrate their art. I'd love to see that continue, for sure.
And so when we talk about the queer space as a whole, what hopes do you have for people of color and Black people specifically in that space?
I hope that it becomes easier to be able to be queer and Black, especially within your own home. Being queer and Black is not something, like I said earlier, we get to talk about very often. And I hope to see us be able to be more comfortable as a community and a culture with having those conversations and opening up about the love we feel for each other, no matter what.
Okay, so the event has happened this year. I know you're probably sitting here taking a breath, getting to recoup,
For sure.
relax. What would you want to do next year if no holds barred, you get to do your dream Black History Month event? What would that be for you?
Next year, I'd like to be able to pay my performers a lot more money than I did this year. But I'd also love to open it up to more than just the St. John's community and area. I'd love to open it up to all of Newfoundland and Labrador, and maybe even the rest of the country, doing Black History Month shows all over the place. Me being originally from Ontario, I'd love to take what I've created here and bring it back home and do it back home as well.
Okay.
And to bring all of the artists that I've gotten to work with here this year and last year with me on that trip.
Okay. Did you ever get to perform in Ontario?
No.
Oh.
No, that's a lie, actually. I got to go home a couple of weeks ago, and I did an impromptu performance in Toronto, which I remember all of course.
Absolutely, not a bit of it is fuzzy. And so I'm going to ask, what was that like comparing your Ontario performance to the ones you get to do here when you go home?
I saw a lot more people of color. I wasn't the only Black drag queen, and it made me really have to change my whole performance and my whole shtick and my stand-up, because I'm used to being the only one here that can say and act and do and sing certain songs, and back home, everybody was doing what I was already doing.
True.
In a space that you were able to see that we weren't the minority anymore. We were the majority, and that was something that was very different for me. But it was still fun nonetheless to be me and to be home.
So in terms of showcasing Black culture as a drag performer, what are your favorite parts about it?
Rapping.
Okay.
The hair.
The hair.
Come on, like who doesn't love a good knotted wig, right?
True.
Like,
True.
But also just being able to be authentically me. Because yes, I am a drag performer, but I'm also a person outside of drag. And I get to bring that person into my art as much as possible. And that's all of my Blackness.
So do you mind sharing a little bit about who that person out of drag is?
Yeah, of course. I mean, my name is Anthony Woods, or his name is Anthony Woods, I should say. Very strong and resilient person who's gone through a lot, but who's also had so much fun in life and just kind of tries to personify that fun and love that I felt throughout life to everybody else that I get to meet in the world.
So, Larinda, if you had one thing you want to leave our viewers, both Black and non-Black, with about Black History Month, about being a drag performer and existing in this space authentically, what do you want them to know?
Love is love, but also I just want them to all know that be authentically you, be happy with who you are, and share yourself, share everything that you feel comfortable sharing with everybody in the world. And if you don't feel comfortable, find those people who are going to help you get to that area that you can be yourself and you can express yourself in the best way possible. If you need some love, or if you need a mama, I'll be your mama and I'll help you out, and we'll figure out your art together.
Okay, and for people watching who want to see you perform more regularly, where can they find you?
They can find me at Velvet Club and Lounge,
Okay.
downtown St. John's. I'm there almost every weekend, in and out of drag.
Okay.
Also at Kaleidoscope Lounge and Restaurant, which is also downtown. I've performed there a couple times. It's a new queer space here in the community that we are so lucky to have and so happy to have as well. And once in a while, you can catch me at the Avalon Mall.
Okay, that's so cool. And if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
They can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Larinda Mood. It's Larinda Mood. Or Facebook, same thing, just my name.
Okay, I want to thank you, one, for sharing your experiences in and out of drag with me. Getting a chance to know who the person behind the name is something I'm really enjoying, and getting to show diverse voices and experiences with our audience has been absolutely amazing. So thank you for taking this time with me today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And we'll find a reason to have you back here.
Oh, I know you will.
And we'll be right back, everyone. welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by the owner of Jummy's Treats, Jummy Lasisi. Thank you for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
So I'm really excited to get to talk to you because I've eaten your treats and I know they're delicious, and I want a chance to get people to know the person behind the delicious food. So how did you get started as a baker?
I've been baking since I was a little girl.
Okay.
One of my favorite memories is baking brownies with my sister.
Okay.
So ever since we started doing that, I've been into it. But only about almost 2 years now, I decided to make it something more than just a hobby.
Okay, and how have you found being a business owner, running your own business, because you are also a student while you're doing all this?
Yeah, hard.
Okay.
It's hard to juggle it all, but the experience has been really rewarding,
Yeah.
I think, so.
So you are a young Black woman in an industry that doesn't typically see a lot of young Black women. How are you enjoying that, and what has been your learning experiences?
It's a good experience to know that, like, the color of your skin doesn't really take away from your abilities.
Yeah.
So it's nice to put some confidence in myself sometimes that, like, if I see something, I can try and make it too, you know, like I have it in me to do it too. So it's been an experience trying to learn that everything comes with practice and everything comes with time and effort put into it.
That's so beautiful to hear. So Jummy's Treats has been around now for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
What is the big goal for you? What would you like to see it be in the next 2 to 4 years?
I would love to have a store.
Okay.
That's my main goal.
That's your main goal?
Yes,
So-
I'm excited for that. I'm working towards it.
Okay.
I'm hoping in the next few years I can get there.
Oh, that's so cool. So as a baker, have there been any things that have been like the most well-received products that you've made, or ones that you keep just privately for yourself?
So fun fact, actually, when I
Okay.
started Jummy's Treats, I was planning on primarily doing like the treats side.
Okay.
So like the Nigerian snacks and things
Oh.
like that. And then I had one of my friends ask me if I could make them a birthday cake.
Okay.
And so I made one and I really enjoyed it. And so I have shifted over to cakes and cupcakes
Okay.
primarily.
Okay, so
So-
treats started mainly with Nigerian
Yeah.
treats. Are you still doing the Nigerian treats, or
Yes,
is it okay?
I still make them, but I never expected that I would be so focused on cakes.
Okay.
So that's a surprise for me too, but I'm enjoying it.
So for our viewers who might not know what Nigerian treats are, so to speak, what are they?
I would say Nigerian treats, they're also heavily inspired by British snacks as well.
Okay.
So things like sausage rolls and Scotch eggs.
Okay.
But I think that we have a special spin on it with the extra spices and things like that. So something that's a Nigerian treat that's from Nigeria is puff puff.
Yes.
So
So for people who don't know, could you describe a puff puff? Because I'm well acquainted, but others might not be as well acquainted.
it's like a fried dough, like
Okay.
similar to like a donut.
Yep.
So it's circular shaped and it's like a yeasty fried dough, but they're typically sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if people haven't tried, you would definitely suggest.
Yes.
That would be the
one's a crowd
introductory.
favorite, Yeah.
Okay. So that's great. So once again, it is Black History Month, so I'm loving the chance to kind of celebrate Black voices and Black people within our province. But there are 2 themes for Black History Month that I would love for you to kind of explain which resonates with you and how that plays into your business practice or who you are as a person. So the American theme is Black resistance, and the Canadian theme is Ours to Tell. Which of those fits more for you?
I would say both, actually.
Okay.
So I think a big part of Black resilience is what you're doing here, like highlighting Black stories. Most of the time, our story gets written for us based on history. So I think like highlighting us and allowing us to tell our stories individually kind of rewrites our stories for the rest of the world. And so it's a way that we can show people that like we have good stories to tell too. We have success in our communities. We have all of the good things in our communities as well.
That's fantastic to hear. So there are probably a lot of other young people watching this show. what would you want them to know either about being a business owner, about being a Black woman in a space that we don't typically see a lot of young Black women, or about you personally?
I would say see yourself as an individual. I know it's probably a broken record that you're in competition with yourself, but you have to see yourself as an individual, not compared to what someone else is doing or how much better someone else is, but believe in yourself and your talents and your goal, and you can find something that works for you and that you're proud of. So I think start today. Even if it's not perfect, start today. It'll be perfect maybe 2 years from now, but because you start early, you get to experience all the things that you need to build a strong business.
That's so fantastic to hear. That's really inspiring, even for me. So for people who are watching who want to now get a chance to try Nigerian treats, but more specifically Jummy's treats, whether they be Nigerian treats or baked goods, how do people get in contact with you?
So I would love for people to see my Instagram page, because other than seeing lots of treats or anything new that might come up, I also do graphic design on there too, so it's nice to look at. But other than that, I do have a website that you can find, jummystreets.ca, and so you can order through the website as well.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey and how Jummy's Treats came to be and all the great things that you're doing and how people can get in contact with you.
Thank you. It was nice to be here.
And we'll be right back, everyone. I want to give a very special thank you to all my guests who've joined me, not just today, but all month long. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I know it's been a little bit of a different take, but I really wanted a chance to celebrate Black history with all of you and get a chance to show you all that the Black people within Newfoundland and Labrador are doing to celebrate our province. I hope you had as much as fun as I did, and I hope you learned a little something over the last month. And I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode.
Hi, I'm Justice.
And I'm Nia.
And we believe
Dreams fuel revolutions.
That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support.
Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us or send us your feedback through social media.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?